Hi everyone, it's Thanksgiving Day, so happy Thanksgiving. And we are just starting to cook and also doing another Thanksgiving tradition. It is that time to put up the Christmas tree again. And this year we bought a new one, so me and my hubby are trying to figure it out before anybody gets here. And we just do a small group, I only have one daughter that lives close by. The others live in faraway places, and so I do not have a lot of family around. So we just do my daughter, her husband, and the baby, and us. And so they will be coming later to help and eat, and then we will be heading to the store to get ready for Black Friday. Our store to get it ready. We might stop at a couple stores on the way though. But in any case, here is the tree going up. Okay, so we got the tree put up, and now, as promised, I thought me and my hubby would answer questions. We just have a few about our relationship, and I thought today was fitting day to do this because it is Thanksgiving, and I am especially thankful to have him. So, this is Steve.
Hello, everybody.
And I thought it'd be fun to start off just kind of giving you guys some of our history. So we've been together for
28.
28?
Wait. Yeah, 28? Yeah.
28 years, or at least right around there. We met on a blind date. We were set up by a friend. And
Well, it wasn't just the setup. I had saw you out the window and then asked your friend who you were, and then that's how the setup was.
okay, on my side, it was completely a blind date. And that's his side. So, we've been together ever since, and which, by the way, I have to say, when I was set up on the blind date before I met him, I thought, just from who this friend was, that there would be no way that I would end up being interested in this person. But, and never in a million years would I have guessed that I would be spending the next 28 years plus with this person. So now I am definitely also thankful to that person. So it's been a good 28 years, I think.
Yeah, it's been a great 28 years.
And I guess shortly after meeting, well, probably maybe a year or two, we started our own business. And
Well, it wasn't even that long. It was like, yeah, about a year and a half when we moved up here.
and
After.
so we started our own business and have worked together in that business and other businesses ever since then. We have 3 kids, two from my previous marriage and one from ours. We've both been married once before and divorced. And he
Oh,
he was a great dad to all the kids, mine included, and they were young enough that they really just see him as a dad. So he's been, like the person I lean on all the way through our whole relationship. So I guess going to the relationship questions, how has my diagnosis affected our relationship?
well, that one. I guess once we figured out what everything was, it's never affected the relationship. It's just that we had to try to figure out what you were going through, and during the time before we figured out everything, it was kind of rough because you were struggling breathing, and we just didn't know what was actually going on, 100% of what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, there was quite a bit of time that there was, first of all, I have to say that there was quite a bit of time before I even told anybody that I was even having trouble breathing. So, Steve included, I didn't tell. So, like, if I was having trouble climbing the stairs, I just would try not to climb the stairs around him so that I could kind of try to figure out what was going on myself. Then when I told him, then we started, going to the doctor and trying to figure out what was going on. And
And to get you, well, when he said that you might want to be on oxygen, and you were struggling when you were walking around like at the beach or whatever, and like during that time it was kind of tough because he was thinking you need to be on it, and we were both, well, we didn't know if you had to be 100%. I guess that was kind of tough to figure out what was really true or not, but that was because you didn't really say 100% how you were feeling with struggling with without the oxygen.
yeah, that's probably one of my biggest personality faults is I am extremely stubborn. And I had it in my head that I could push through this and just, work out harder or exercise more or whatever to, make my body strong enough to just push through it. And Steve knows that's my personality, so
Well, because of the work that you used to do with the horses, you would work all day, and even if you were sick, you would work all day. So it's hard to know if you're really struggling or if you're just maybe tired or just something like that. Even though we wasn't doing horses here, you were still. It's to me it seemed like you were getting around okay, but you would just at some point get too tired to really move like you wanted to move. But I just took it as we were getting older, wasn't doing as much, and maybe you just wasn't in much of the same shape or whatever.
yeah, and I chalked it off at first to getting older too. But then I would notice, like, when we would go out places or we were out with other people our age, that they weren't having the same difficulties I was having. So, like, we'd be out somewhere and I'd watch another person that was maybe like 60 years old run up the stairs, and not skip a beat after they got to the top and stuff. And I'm thinking, no, this isn't. And then I would start asking him little questions like, do you get out of breath when just trying to gauge where I was, or we would discuss like what we've seen with other people and just trying to figure it all out. And as my diagnoses came, like first it was just the COPD, and I kept telling him, no, I think there's something more. And My family doctor, dug some more and started doing some heart tests and everything. And he's the one that had figured out the pulmonary hypertension and sent us to sent us to the heart doctor. And from there, we really thought that, okay, now we have everything under control. And we were treating it and it should be good. And after like a year and a half to 2 years of that, I really started struggling again. And we have this weird schedule because we own an advertising publication that comes out every week. Every Wednesday is print day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are regular, busy days, regular work days, especially for him. Then we do the paper on Wednesday, so that's busy day for everybody. And then we have off like Thursday, Friday it starts to wind down, and then we have Saturday, Sunday, and then it's back. So we've lived with that schedule ever since we were 21 years old. So when I started really struggling again after being sent to the heart doctor, that year and a half after being sent there, after treatment, and we thought things were getting better, and then I started noticing that I was having a lot of swelling in my feet, and me and him would watch.
Yeah.
We would watch it every night to see like what it looked like, and
It was swelling. You had the feet and just like different parts of your body was swelling.
oh my gosh, it wasn't funny. I mean, it's funny because I'm like a stick figure, I just, there's not much to me. So when I started swelling and stuff, like I even gained weight in my face and everything. And I remember thinking my worst nightmare would be if I got pregnant, because I mean, like, who wants a kid at 40 something years old,
45, or was it?
I mean, ours were all grown up, moved out, and we were like living our best life. So who wants a kid right now? And so that was my first biggest fear. And then when we started figuring out like that something more was wrong, I remember we discussed that I probably needed to go to the hospital, but
We didn't go right. We didn't go right away.
we were trying to figure out what day would be the best day to go to fit it in our schedule with how we work and just our free time, not to take away from any of our free time, that we get to go do stuff and everything. And so after it became quite apparent that I was not even going to be able to keep functioning if we didn't go, we discussed that a Saturday morning would probably be best, that the walk-in clinic is open then. We can go then and see.
Well, we wasn't really gonna go. We just said we just knew that we had to go, but we were gonna go to the mall, and you said that you just think today we need to go.
And I know that before me and him went, me and my daughter had went to my heart doctor 2 times without an appointment to talk to the nurse about the way I was feeling, because I told her that things were starting to happen that were different than what they had. And she got the doctor on the phone, and he talked with me and everything and said, oh, no, you're fine. So that happened twice. And then me and Steve had discussed actually going in and going, and we tried to figure out like what day might be the best day for us to go. And then, like he said, we came to that Saturday, and we were supposed to go shopping. And I guess deep in my heart of hearts, I knew that I was not going to be able to walk any mall or anything like that. So I asked him how he felt about going to the clinic. And we went, and right away, the doctors there they told me something that I didn't know. And that was that I was in congestive heart failure and my organs were shutting down. And immediately I was put into an intensive care room, and I forget.
Well, they they took you in, and
Did
they,
I
they
stay a couple days?
you stayed 2 days there, and then they moved you up to the other
Yeah, because I remember when they
hospital.
decided, it must have been Monday that decided that they were moving me because he was at work and my daughter was coming to see me that Monday to check in on me. And he just, they had decided that they needed to move me to the heart hospital that's the big one here by ambulance. And I remember thinking that if they took me before my daughter got to the room, that she was going to think that something happened. And so they rushed me up there. I saw her on the way out. And then Steve, we notified him as well. And so, yeah, and that's, I guess, where the real treatment started with the PH doctor. And I guess where we got like a real
Yeah,
understanding
what's going on?
of what we were dealing with.
Well, they
And
was going talking about. Well, they were. We were learning what was going on, but they were. There was a lot of hope because remember they were saying if it's you got this hole that could be the problem. Like they were telling us all of these tests that they would do, and then after they did those tests is when we found out 100% what everything was.
so, yeah, there's the atrial something, I can't even remember what it is, and it's a birth defect that affects some people, and they have a hole in your heart, and they said that sometimes it doesn't, they don't catch it until later for whatever reason. And they did a bubble study, and they thought I failed the bubble study, so then they went in, they thought that it was for sure the hole in the heart. They went in and, took a closer look, and that wasn't it. And you go through your right heart exam, right heart cath, and the CTP, I think it is, what looks for pulmonary embolisms or blood clots in your lungs. So they did that and sent you in for your sleep studies to see if it was from sleep apnea and all of that. And so as it turned out, it was none of the stuff that they could actually treat.
Yeah.
And so then was diagnosed as PAH, also pulmonary arterial hypertension. And they felt like I've had it longer, but they do not know why. So in any case, another question that was asked is, how has it changed our lifestyle? And
It really it it hasn't changed much, but I mean it just makes it to where you have to like we had to take the oxygen stuff. Have to we just have to be aware of the potential situations. Like I had to get used to making sure we carried the batteries for the oxygen, or made sure that if it was going to be too hot to kind of look and make sure that you're not struggling, or if it's too cold, or just when if we were taking a trip, we had to adjust to the way with the stuff that we were taking and the time to make sure that you don't struggle to get to where we have to get to at
so,
the airport or whatever.
yeah, so number one thing that will get me out of breath really fast is rushing. So everything we do leaving more than enough time. So when we go to the airport, I would rather go and sit an extra hour than go
Rushing.
and feel rushed. So I guess in that sense, we have to allow a lot more time with everything that we do, just so that we're not rushing. Everything is slower, like walking and everything. Everything is slower. We definitely have to think about stairs and hills, and like when we visit certain places, we have to make adjustments to accommodate for these things. A lot of times we'd like to visit places that are familiar because then we don't have to go through the learning curve to figure that area out. Recently, we went to Atlanta for the first time in our adult lives, and when we landed, we had left time that we would go eat something, see a few things, and then go to the hotel and relax. What we did not realize is in Atlanta, a lot of the restaurants, you park in these parking garages or away from the restaurants, and you walk up hills, and it's a hike to get to the restaurant and then a hike to get back to your car. So by the end of the first night there, I don't know if he was, but I was super frustrated. I was actually fed up with that trip before we even got to the hotel. We were hungry from the flight, tired from the flight, and could not find a place that we could eat at that we could just get out of the car and go in. And I had already used up like all my energy going through the airport and everything. So by the time we got to the hotel, I found myself on that trip wishing that I hadn't even went. I don't know how.
And that airport was big too. The way that you
Yeah, the Hatfield Airport, it's huge, and
you had to go on the train, and it was a lot of. We had to do a lot. I think on that second flight, didn't we get where we had pulled the guy with the cart?
yeah, they
'Cause it
kept
was so
moving our
far.
gate, so we had a flight change going, and I think that was a different trip to Key
Oh,
West.
was it Key West?
Yeah, and we landed in Atlanta, and they kept moving our gate. So every time we would walk to another gate, then they would change the gate again. And finally, after doing it 3 times, we had to get a ride because I couldn't do it anymore. But on the Atlanta trip, once we got settled into the hotel for the night and everything, and like get to kind of take a step back, relax, and just rethink things on how we were going to handle the rest of our days there. And from that point on, kind of after seeing and knowing what to expect there, we figured out how to best navigate it for us. And I
Once
felt,
you know the city, then it's a lot easier to get around and not be frustrated with all the. Because we did end up finding places to eat and everything that you didn't have to go that far later, but that first day was
yeah,
it was too much.
so after that, I felt like we had a really good trip, and I would definitely go back there again. And now we know the places to avoid and the places to go, So there's always that. Or even like last night, we went to another basketball game, but this was the first basketball game in the new stadium. And we had been there for the bull riding. But we didn't go around much, and the seating is different for the basketball game. So we were a little bit hesitant. We like to sit close to the court, but I don't like to have to, when we leave, go all the way up the bleacher stairs again, from the courtside seats all the way up is a climb to get out. So, and we weren't sure how it was going to be at the new stadium, and we found out that there's an elevator right on the floor. So, that worked out great last night. So a lot of it is just about having all of your information and, figuring stuff out to accommodate. Another question that they have is, do you ever get frustrated with the situation?
Well, at the beginning, you get frustrated because you don't know if a person is just tired, or I won't say like out of shape, but like if a person is, you don't know how you struggle because I see you as the same, but when you were struggling, I would think, well, is she struggling that much? Because if she is, then it must be worse than she's saying. So I had to get used to that a person can still look the same, but be struggling on the
I
inside.
think he's still trying to like understand what all it even is to like.
Well, you go back and forth because some days you can breathe easier, and then on other days you can't. And maybe I get confused. Like, okay, is this day you're doing good, and then the next day it's not, and you have to get used to that up and down.
Well, then I think too that he's got to think like I'm this big hypochondriac because there's like 1,000, and this is ridiculous. This is also frustrating to me because it's not just like a normal sickness where I don't know where whatever it is hurts. Like when you do this, it hurts. So like say a person has arthritis in their knee, and when they do this, it hurts, and that's pretty. And it might have one thing or something that affects it. Like if it gets colder or it rains, it might affect their knee. With this, there's 1,001 things that can affect it. So I might be one day, oh, I can breathe good today, and then like just the other day, I could barely breathe at all, and I was wondering what the heck was going on. I get home, watch the news, and the
Oh, and the smoke.
fires from
Yeah.
California, all the smoke settled right around the Wisconsin-Illinois border where we are. So for whatever reason, that's where the smoke settled. And as it turns out, it made perfect sense because we I was out with my daughter that day, and we were struggling with some boxes and getting them in the car and everything. So, and by the time we got to the store with the stuff, I couldn't hardly breathe at all, and I was just totally frustrated. But I always think, because everything affects it. So the humidity, the cold,
Perfume. You
perfumes.
don't know perfume, and if we walking through the mall, and you even come to perfume, and now that I don't wear cologne or nothing, some of the times if I get by a perfume or cologne, it makes it hard for me to take in because I'm not used to smelling it because we stopped wearing it and being around it. So I mean that stuff is pretty strong, and I know if it affects me, then when you go by it, it could just throw off the whole day if you get a good whiff of
Yeah, that's what's messed up is you could be walking along and having a perfectly good day, and then you get a big whiff of perfume, and then your whole day is ruined. Hold on a second. Our oven is screaming for us. We have to put the ham in. I know there's one for sure, maybe a couple more questions, but one big one. So we'll be right back. Okay, the ham is in, and we are back. I also feel like I always have to ask him for a lot of help, and I feel like he's gonna get tired of all the
well,
help at some point.
I'm not gonna get tired of the help. It's just that I know now there was a lot of stuff that you was doing that I didn't have to do. Not to say you don't do the stuff. It's just that where I might help when I used to didn't help, like with the bringing up the laundry or bringing it down. It's mostly with anything that's carrying because you get out of air if you have to carry something.
So yeah, so laundry and stuff like it's now share or the making the bed.
Yeah, or making the bed. Yeah.
Our bed is super hard to get the fitted sheets and stuff on, and that's like a total struggle for me. And I used to do that all the time, and now he does that. I help, but yeah. So
What?
then the last question that everyone always has is how has it affected your sex life? So I guess let me be the first to say is that I've never been a wild and crazy person like that. So I don't feel like it's affected it that much as far as like really.
Doesn't really change. Maybe nothing's really changed. I mean,
I mean, everything still as frequent as before and stuff like that. And like I said, we've never really been wild and crazy, so it's not like we were swinging from the chandelier or
Yeah.
anything. So, yeah, I think with all of it, though, it's really just if you had a good relationship before, and depending on what type of person you're with, so yeah, I think that, I mean, you definitely can still have a good, healthy relationship in all areas. It just may be a little bit more, may take a little more extra planning, and you might take things at a slower pace, which isn't always a bad thing. Like, we've slowed down, and I think we enjoy stuff more now because we, like, at the airport, do more people watching and stuff like that. We definitely have a lot of laughs together, and I don't know, we still enjoy each other. So,
Yeah, because if a person don't uh, really like being with the person, and it's, no matter what, there's gonna be some reason someone's gonna find to not want to be with them. I mean, I've had friends, and they were married, and they didn't have any health issues with their spouse, and they broke up. So it's more about being with the person that you want to be with, and both of you, we share a lot of our stuff 50-50, where we both know that we have to do things, and I think that that also helps a lot too when it comes for everything that we do, from the bedroom all the way to work, all the way to the kids, and that we look at it as a partnership. And maybe people that'll struggle, they don't look at it that way, so they always think that they have to get from the person rather than also give to the person.
agreed. So, to everyone out there, um, just, I guess, keep living your best life with the best person you have with you next to you. And for sure, enjoy this Thanksgiving and the holidays. And I know every time another Thanksgiving or Christmas rolls around, I am definitely thankful because I am here another year. So have a good one, you guys. Thanks
But
for watching. Bye bye.